Hi, my name is Ryan Connolly from Jillian Junior High School, and I'm here today to present my project on how do we get here on transportation and automobiles. This film will culminate in the Industrial Revolution. Starting back in the Industrial Revolution, there were an extremely small number of cars being made, with only people like Henry Ford and Carl Benz working on producing them. In today's age, there are a large number of car producers like Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota, leading the way for a brighter future in the field of transportation. Starting off in 2020, the Tesla is the car of the decade, with billionaire Elon Musk leading the way into the future of transportation. The Tesla is a futuristic-looking car that has many new features, like an ability that even allows the car to drive itself, called autopilot. The cars are all very unique compared to the normal cars that we see today, with new looks and even large center consoles with big screens. Teslas all have new futuristic looks with all new cool things that make the cars unique. The cars all have 360-degree bird's eye view cameras to make parking much easier, and they even have self-stop features, making accidents happen less, keeping people safe. These new features are the reasons why people are still alive today and why they were not killed in fatal accidents. Secondly, in the 1980s, cars were awesome, with cars like the Buick Grand National and even the Pontiac Firebird. The 80s marked the beginning of new amazing advancements in cars, like the cell phone and GPS navigators. The GPS was revolutionary, allowing people to get around without using huge maps and struggling to know where to go. A cell phone in the car was also revolutionary for the time. People would now make calls from the car instead of needing to stop. These cars from the 80s were revolutionary and will never be forgotten, even in today's society. In addition to the 80s, the 40s were also very influential to the use of vehicles. Cars used in World War II were utilized so much more than World War I, and new advanced vehicles were being produced, like the Jeep and even amphibious trucks. One of the most influential vehicles of World War II in the 40s was the Jeep. Jeeps were used for everything. They were mounted with large machine guns and were even used for transporting the troops that were injured. Another influential form of vehicle during World War II was the use of armored tanks. The M4 Sherman tank was the most commonly used tank, with 50,000 of them made. They were used in many of the country's armies, such as French, Soviet Union, and English, even the United States. These tanks and jeeps were all influential in taking many parts in many battles. Another influential decade for transportation was the 1920s and during World War I. Cars and trucks were not the only mode of transportation used during the war. The new invention of tanks were heavily utilized along with some cars. A large number of cars were being used, like the Ford Model T, the Armstrong Whitworth armored car, and even the Garford Hulatab armored truck. During World War I, motor vehicles such as ambulances were used to transport the wounded and the soldiers into battle safely, and the German military even had armored cars with guns mounted on them to spray the enemy during attacks. Lastly, the 1900s was arguably the most influential decade of motor vehicles, with the Ford Motor Company being born on June 16, 1903. This marked the beginning of a major company that would still be popular 118 years later. The Model T was released on October 1, 1908, marking the start of one of the most prominent motor vehicle companies in the United States today. The Highland Park Ford factory was at one point considered the largest factory in the world, with assembly lines producing Model Ts in under 6 hours, which was unheard of at the time. The cars were sold at a value of $850, which was around the average salary of a man. Ford's main focus was getting the car as low as a price as possible. The Model T Ford was revolutionary, and it was the first car that was mass-produced to the public. It was a vehicle that was affordable and had the people easy access to buying it. It was the first time that people had a choice between riding in the car versus taking a train. The Model T was revolutionary, and we will never forget it.